Hey everyone, Liz here again, and this time we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about preparedness, and if you're thinking I mean prepping and survivalism, you are exactly right. And I'm still going to be reading something, but instead of a creepypasta or a story from a novel, I have in my hands a binder with a bunch of laminated sheets on the inside of it. And in these laminated sheets, or I guess they're really not laminated, but plastic. Regardless, inside of these plastic sheets, I have handwritten notes. And by notes, I mean I just kind of go on the internet and find informative articles and take them down by hand, so that if, say, the grid goes down or, some other such thing, say just the internet goes out, I'll still have access to this really good information. And today, what I'm going to read to you is called Bugging Out, Dreams versus Reality, and this is part 1. And to give you the short of it, is that the phrase? The long and short of it, I feel like that's it. Anyway, the TLDR is basically, people have certain perceptions of how bugging out will be, when realistically, you probably don't even want to bug out unless it's an absolute necessity. But yeah, this goes over that, and then it gets into how to set up a really solid bug out plan. And it's actually pretty long, so this might be kind of a long one. But yeah, this is filled to the brim with useful stuff. So hopefully you guys will, maybe get some life-saving information as well as some tingles. Alright, here goes. It says, don't be the last out without a destination. Solar storms, nuclear EMP, or a derivatives crash. Any one of these could trigger a national or worldwide socioeconomic collapse on a scale nobody has ever seen, with the subsequent destruction of life, liberty, and property almost unimaginable. Out of the smoke and stench of the collapse, one nasty fact remains. Not living full-time at a retreat will require bugging out, and it's just a matter of time. The journey for most will be long and treacherous, may take weeks, months, or even years, and may result in injury or casualties to the group. However, only those who are prepped, trained, and have an up-to-date evacuation plan with a viable destination will be successful. We will try to help you come up with a bug-out plan and cover the basics of retreat selection by using an easy outline that forces you to really think through this critical aspect of survival. Well, I guess my whole preamble was kind of pointless, wasn't it? Bugging out may be one of the most discussed topics in the survival and preparedness world, topped only by everyone's favorite genre, firearms. Every day there are new articles about bugging out, the best bag, fire starter, communications gear, flashlight, compass, etc., but rarely does the topic of the evacuee's route planning and destination come to the forefront of discussions. Why? It's just not exciting, probably because you can't put an ACOG Magpul furniture sling in a 40-round PMag on your destination, and most folks just think they can make up their route as they go along. Not so. Let's take a look at what some preppers dream about as they drift off to sleep at night. The bug-out dream. Buy a small parcel of land halfway across the country with all of your friends. Build the coolest bug-out bags ever conceived and wait for the mushroom clouds to appear. One day it happens. In a magnificently coordinated evacuation, everyone rides off into the sunset, arriving unscathed at the fully self-sustaining retreat a few days later, having fought through several zombie roadblocks. The group survives the collapse and all ends well. You write a book about your adventure and become famous the world over. The end. Now let's wake up in a cold sweat when reality hits. The gut-wrenching reality. The lights go out for good. Too much time passes without you realizing it's not just another rolling blackout. The time to go safely has passed. Group members are scattered all over the city, with several key members out of town on business, unable to make it back. Stress and panic reign as 2,000 pounds of equipment fail to fit into an ill-conceived bug-out vehicle and trailer, because there isn't a destination with prepositioned supplies. One member breaks down and decides to write it out in their basement. Your own children tell you you're crazy and sit in the front yard in defiance because you won't bring the PS4. Fear then turns to anger and rage. The next morning, traveling westward towards no man's land, the truck runs out of fuel on a lonely back road trying to circumvent the next chaotic metropolitan area. After abandoning the vehicle and walking for 3 days, a hastily constructed checkpoint appears 100 meters past the turn in the road. That wasn't correctly scouted. Unfortunately, a ruthless street gang has set it up, and the prepper's demise is all but sealed. The real end. It's time to take stock of where you are right now. How many preppers have built a bug-out bag, retrofitted an EMP-proof truck, and have a basement full of supplies, a basic evacuation plan, yet no destination to strive to reach? If we took a survey, probably more than 95% are not fully prepared. This is not good. Is it the end of the world if your family doesn't own a retreat? Of course not. The reality is that most preppers can't afford a separate, fully operational retreat, and that's okay. However, not having a prearranged destination of some kind with prepositioned supplies is absolutely not acceptable. This could be located at a friend's or relative's house in the country, or a group purchase of a retreat. Even a small parcel with the stream and cached supplies is better than nothing. There are several aspects to every successful bug-out. The first, of course, is actually leaving your current destination on time and traveling to your destination. The second is the destination itself. This will be covered in 2 parts. Part 1 will cover the plan outline, and Part 2 will cover the destination and survival retreat search and acquisition. Part 1, the bug-out plan. To cover the bug-out part, we have coined an easy acronym. Use it so you're never last out. Last out standing for location, alternative routes, supplies, timing, observation, uniformity, and transportation. Location. Location and communication with family or group members when shit hits the fan will be key. The dream is that everyone is in the same location and ready to go when the balloon goes up. Reality dictates otherwise. It's always best to assume that the family or group will be scattered across the city at best. At worst, members are out of town with limited or no means of communication. These factors complicate and unravel any good bug-out plan. Even the most decorated combat veteran will feel the gut-wrenching pain when they realize that loved ones are possibly far away and unreachable if a sudden event arises. Communication, or a complete understanding of when and where to meet, will be required to maintain order. If funds dictate the purchase of a small handheld radio for each member, then by all means do so. Alright, alternative routes. It's critical that 2 distinct routes are mapped with different rally points on the way to the final destination. The first route will be to an early bug-out when the timing is perfect and all the roads will still be open, as mass panic has not yet ensued. These should still detail driving around major cities, but not small towns, as there is no reason to drive right back into a possible hot zone you have just left. Although this is a plan that may not ever be used, having it in place is required. The second route plan will detail not only to avoid all major metropolitan areas, but must circumvent smaller cities and towns, especially those with bridges and tunnels that cross key terrain, water, mountains, gorges, etc. No matter where you live and your intended route, there will be at least one bridge. these might as well be brick walls. If the bridge is controlled and they turn you away or ambush you, all bets are off. Do you have your route planned to cross over key terrain features well outside of town, and have you driven your route at least once all the way to your retreat? Planning this type of evac route may take days, maybe your entire vacation, twice, but not only would it be fun, unless you have young children screaming in the back seat, but will ensure that you have a fighting chance. If you think you can pick the route on your own, good luck. Rally points. Which rally point will be used? There are many factors such as the type and location of the event, wind directions with other factors, and public reaction that will dictate which direction and rally point to use. Multiple rally points are crucial, and they can only be identified as you pre-drive your routes. Everyone must understand routes to the main jump-off point as well as additional rally points if any area is compromised. The best advice is to have pre-planned rally points and schedules vacuum sealed in a watertight packet and carried in either each vehicle, purses, or day bags whenever family members or group members go, or wherever. It's much easier to open and read instructions during stressful events that were previously well thought out and arranged. Locations of cached supplies, rally points, times, and step-by-step color-coded flowcharts directing certain actions will work well. These plans may be ever-changing as members travel for work or vacation and should be fitted to fit the itineraries of those that travel far and wide. It may be as simple as these out-of-touch members' rally points is actually the objective itself, the retreat. You'll see them if they make it, maybe weeks or years later, period. If the travel is localized in the region, say within 100 miles, then standard rotating or floating rally points can be pre-selected and used. Supplies. Your supplies will both hinder your movement and provide the means to keep moving. A certain pragmatic duality. Always pack your bug-out bag for dismounted travel. There are only 8 basic mandatory items to cover in your bug-out bag to be ready. Remember, these packs are built light to allow you to move rapidly toward your rally points and then to your final destination where hopefully all your preps are waiting. You will have to modify these to fit your own unique situation. Just ensure you pack them in dive bags to keep your supplies dry and to use your go bag as a flotation device if needed. Number 1, water purification equipment with extra filters. Number 2, clothing for the anticipated environment. Number 3, shelter for the anticipated environment. Number 4, a reliable fire starter. Number 5, dehydrated food rations and game processing tools. Number 6, personal medical kits with colloidal silver. Number 7, communication such as ham radios and energy creation equipment such as a small solar charger pack. And number 8, defensive equipment, lightweight, and they need the ability to break down to hide in the pack. Your own needs dictate how incredibly light, heavy, and burdensome this pack will be in the end. The myth says that you can carry an 80-pound pack and an M1A rifle with a full battle load from Florida to your retreat in Montana. Reality says that you're better off with a 25-pound bag and a lightweight carbine. You decide. Either way, you'll likely walk to your retreat in any scenario, so tread very lightly. Water is heavy, but the purification equipment is much lighter, so carry less water between rally points and bivouac? Jesus. Sites. I feel like an idiot, I actually don't know that word. And fill up when you're unsure of the lay of the land. Topographical maps of your entire route on paper will allow planned water recovery breaks and less of a load. Timing. Timing, as they say, is everything. Timing will dictate who arrives to leave with you, the routes you choose on your way out, and, of course, if you can leave at all. Timing from the start of the event to ascertain when full public knowledge will hit, causing the breakdown of local order, is paramount. Remember, It is better to be a few minutes, hours, or even years too early than a second too late. Living in Baltimore and own a retreat in Montana, you better leave early or learn to pilot. Storing up sick and vacation days that can be used at the last minute can be key. There may be times that the handwriting is appearing on the wall, and those days are used several times over a few years on events that don't materialize, thus allowing a return to life as normal without quitting a job after acting in haste. First, it's great training, and dry runs always pay off later. One day it'll pay off as the collapse deepens quickly and you're a day ahead of the stagnant freeways filled with zombies, rather than seconds too late. One day the event may be upon us in a split second, but all the training pays off in a well-executed bug-out mission. One never knows, but that's half the fun of being a prepper, right? Observation and intel. In conjunction with timing is observing your surroundings and intelligence gathering. It can be very hard to keep the big picture in mind as the world appears to be crumbling before one's eyes. Step away from the here and now, relax, and take a moment to see the world around you. Observing everything from the traffic flow to the actions of the people on the street will help determine if this is the event that requires action and implementation of the bug-out plan. As such, accurate intelligence from any inside sources working in various sectors of our society will be invaluable. Our members of the group, law enforcement officers, firefighters or paramedics, ER doctors on active duty, in the financial business, or in other jobs that may receive inside information early on about certain unfolding threats, if not members of the group or close outside friends, are there neighbors who may feel an obligation to let inside information and warnings slip out? Are these neighbors quietly packing up and leaving? Pride in your network, group, and plans that have been created can lead one to miss finite details that would otherwise warn of impending doom. Keeping eyes and ears open so the boots can move fast when the intel points to the green light is key when you're living in perilous times and locales. Remember, you're not as good as you think you are, especially when the first bullet rips past your head. As you move along your evacuation route, obtaining intel will be key, so try and converse with anyone that may look like they have information, if it's safe to do so. What's to be learned here? Fast and accurate situational observation and awareness, and intelligence gathering is key to activating the evacuation plan and bugging out before the Golden Horde realizes what's happening. The sooner one leaves, the farther the final destination can be. Again, the sooner one leaves, the farther the final destination can be. If only one fact is learned from this, let it be that. Uniformity of preps. For the few readers out there that have never felt that comforting feeling when a teammate throws a spare magazine over while pinned down under fire, understanding uniformity of preps is easy. However, getting 2 or more preppers to agree to go to a group standard system of preps, as coined by James Wesley Rawls in his first book, Patriots, Surviving the Coming Collapse, especially when it comes to firearms, is akin to paddling upstream. It's sad that this has to be mentioned, but the reality of this very serious key criteria is that it will be both the undoing of many small prepper groups during peaceful times and the death of many more when the Schumer hits the fan. The best advice for everyone in a small group is to be willing to swallow their pride and make a change to a group standard list of preps. This should include water purification equipment, fire starters, medical kits, communications gear, energy creation equipment, and finally, of course, defensive tools. Utilizing the same style of packs with markers or tags to identify one another can also be of benefit. These can be sewn into the pack with IR reflective tape with a cover to use if everyone has NV gear. One of the most overlooked but expensive preps is the thermal monocular, preferably a dual purpose, so it can be quickly placed in a rifle for combat operations. These units can be a lifesaver, especially bugging out in urban environments, unsure of immediate threats. Then, in the countryside, seeing hidden ambushes or roadblocks may prove invaluable. Transportation. How many of us have thought about multiple different and/or redundant modes of transportation, each with its own unique and targeted risk or task in the overall bug-out plan? Each person is different, and we could spend hundreds of pages going through each unique bug-out plan, but for now we will focus on individuals or groups without young children, as these plans are the hardest to develop and even harder to execute successfully. Ground vehicles. Don't fool yourself. You're probably not going to get far in a vehicle, at least not if you're leaving from the depths of a big city, especially a few minutes too late. If you don't have children to protect, then the motorcycle may be the best ground-based vehicle to outfit. Maneuverable both on and off-road, with fantastic gas mileage, the only caveat is storage for gear and gas. If you can modify a dirt bike with saddlebags and an extra 5-gallon can, as well as wear your bug-out bag on your back with your rifle and a scabbard, then you may be in good shape. For example, we will look at a group of friends that all have jobs in and around a very large metropolitan center in excess of a 500,000 population range. Let's assume they have completed a group purchase of a small retreat property located in a small town about 800 miles from their location. Each person has access to a storage unit that allows vehicle storage with a bug-out motorcycle at the ready. Since the roadways in most events will come to a screeching halt within minutes or hours depending on the disaster event profile, having well-equipped motorcycles fast at hand to quickly leave the city will be key for this group. Upon mutual agreement that they should call it a day in the large metro area due to an event such as the looming financial crisis or collapse, or a massive casualty incident, MCI, the group members don their gear and utilize the motorcycles to move in and out of the standstill traffic on Metro Interstate and then veer off on country roads for approximately 200 miles. This is the group's first rally point, and well within a tank of gas for modified enduro dirt bike, or rather a modified enduro dirt bike, carrying additional supplies. There they have stashed several mid-70s vintage 4x4 pickup trucks, EMP-proof, each with the ability to carry a dirt bike or two in the beds, so they can bring them as backup transportation. The vehicles carry enough extra fuel and supplies to make the final 600-mile drive to the retreat location. Although the aforementioned example is bordering on a script for a survivalist novel, the bottom line is that thinking outside the box will ultimately provide what anyone in a survival situation requires: options, especially in the transportation aspect of a bug-out plan. The more options, the better, and of course half the fun of being a prepper is thinking through your own unique situation and working with your family or group to put these plans on paper and work towards the goal of making them a reality. Boats. This is a widely overlooked transportation means for the prepper, along with the aircraft. Depending on start and end points on the bug-out route, a boat may be a key element of the escape. There are many retreats that are built on small islands on freshwater lakes not only in the US but also around the world. Some are fairly inexpensive and are within reasonable affordability for most survival property buyers. A boat may be a necessary initial bug-out mode of transport to get over a small body of water such as a bay, or across a lake, or that a large metropolitan area is built on or nearby, especially in the southeastern US. I'm sure one may be hard-pressed to hire a speedboat to leave Manhattan, but a small kayak might be the answer. Who knows? Just remember, this is just another option in a world of chaos. The ability to have the bug-out gear all packed in separate waterproof storage bags, dive bags, in the backpack is also a great way to keep the gear dry and serviceable, and to have a built-in life preserver to swim or float across bodies of water if needed. Aircraft. If there were ever a mode of transportation that could get a prepper out of a jam, it would be air travel. Of course, it helps to be a pilot. There are several types of aviators out there: the novice, private, commercial, airline transport, and the military pilot. The novice will account for most of the potential preppers pilots today, including myself. Or rather, that's the person who wrote the article. Not me, I can't fly a plane. That's ridiculous. I can't even drive a car. A novice would fall into the first and easiest category. With fewer than 50 hours of training, they could fly ultralight platforms such as powered parachutes, gliders, trikes, and small fixed wings, 3-axis. The downside to these is their lack of an acceptable payload. It's a great day just to bring along a small go bag with your rifle and one battle load of magazines and ammo. However, these types of ultralights can be stored very discreetly and enable the owner to leave the area of engagement extremely fast, hopefully not under fire. Utilizing these small units, where no pilot's license is required to own or operate, is a realistic answer to making a fast and short evacuation. However, the fuel capacity and limited range will quickly show their drawbacks. These units require many fuel stops, and landing near a freeway off-ramp to get gas may bring undue attention. If the landing was successful, who will guard the plane while you barter for fuel? If you own a 2-seat rig, is it better to take another person or 150 pounds of gear? Planning for refueling will be a bit more technical than caching your motorcycle or bug-out truck, and nightfall will certainly come at the worst time as well during your flight out of an affected area. For those of you that are pilots and listening to this, I guess, you're sure to be nodding in agreement. Being a proficient pilot, novice, or licensed is just the beginning of a huge learning curve that's sure to provide more than a few come-to-Jesus moments, so to speak. Thinking of using night vision goggles? Sure, until you realize it takes many, many hours of training to use them while flying. Being prepared means training. These small, portable, and easily hidden in plain sight aircraft will be great to make those first 100 to 200 miles, albeit most likely alone, of course, but it gets you out. There may be a scenario where this is used to get from a highly densely populated downtown area in place of a motorcycle to your home in the suburbs where the family is waiting with the bug-out vehicle. Who knows, but it's an option for sure. Typically anywhere from 2,000 to 20,000 buys one of these novice units, so they're affordable. When planning for this contingency, don't think for a minute that after taking a few lessons that you'll just fly off into the sunset with your gear. If you don't own a Cessna or a similar type aircraft, it's highly doubtful that you'll be able to run to the nearest airport to rent one. The owners will be using those aircraft themselves to get out of Dodge, or the airspace may likely already be grounded, like on 9/11. Remember timing, as noted in the article. One last bit of advice from this novice. Keep paper maps at hand, as the GPS units and other navigation gear may be unserviceable. Always think about not having any sort of technology during the bug-out. For those professional or aspiring licensed pilots out there looking for a spectacular destination in the American Redoubt, look no further than this bug-out pilot property. Oh, well, yeah, I forget that's, it linked to something there, and I ended up writing it down anyway. Just ignore that, I guess. Dismount on foot. For those out there that are not in shape, the word dismounted travel should scare the hell out of you. For many, if they make it out of the city, death will find them on foot, and only in a matter of hours or days. No more fantasy survival novel about walking from Miami to Montana. Good luck. It's time for another reality check. If you can grab your bug-out bag, rifle, and vest and walk out the door to complete the following, then you might have a chance. A 5-mile walk with 100-yard sprints in between each mile, 100 sit-ups, 10 pull-ups. This is not a special forces test, it's a wake-up call. Stop buying cases of ammo and new guns, save your cash, and buy a treadmill. Seriously, if it takes such a wake-up call to bring tactical fitness and mission readiness back into the limelight, then so be it. Ask yourself, if the shit hit the fan right now, if you could defend your family after a massive physical endeavor like the one above, plus add the psychological impact of a societal collapse happening around you. If you've never been in combat, go find someone and ask him or her what it's like. You'll be surprised at what they tell you. Whatever it takes, get in shape. The success of your bug out plan is riding on it. In the end, in part 1, we have covered the basics of how to formulate a better bug out plan by thinking about options. The hardest part of the entire evacuation/bug out operation will be deciding when to go. This may seem easy on the surface, but indecisiveness in the group will ruin friendships if the order is given even once without the event propagating into the one. If you happen to make the right call, and it really is time to go, did you start soon enough? Your entire life and the lives of your family and or group will depend on timing, the right event, right time, right routes, right supplies, right transportation and communication, and of course, the right destination. Whatever you do, as the mushroom clouds rise, don't panic and never be the last out. Alright, so that is the end of this article, bit of notes and stuff, and I think that that shit is incredibly informative. I think I'm not going to call it like a series, but I think I'll do more of these videos about preparedness. It's a bit of a well, I wouldn't call it a passion per se, just because I think that, you know, everybody should take it seriously, you know. It's kind of like you're putting your own life in your hands. So, I think next week, or if I do it next week, next time I do one of these preparedness videos, it'll probably be about first aid kits. When it comes to preppers, a lot of us have kind of our favored type of, I guess, gear, you would say, things that we're particularly interested in, specialties, that would be the word. And I'm no medical professional. I mean, I've never gone to nursing school or anything like that, but when it comes to preferences and specialties, first aid is my shit. Like, that's where it's at. My first aid kit that I keep at my house is I think it's fairly impressive, but maybe that's just me. Yeah, I have some notes here about different types of first aid kits, how to make your own really, really solid first aid kit. It's actually what I use to help me build my own, which I'll say that right now, if you're thinking of having a first aid kit for bugging out or just for having around your house, I highly recommend putting your own together. You can take $40 and go to Walmart and walk out with a more reliable first aid kit than 90% of the ones that you're gonna buy. So, like the pre-made ones. I'm starting to ramble about fucking first aid kits now, but yeah, next time it'll be that. And if you guys have any types of things that you'd be interested in learning about when it comes to prepping and survivalism and stuff, maybe learn some fire starting methods or the proper kinds of foods to hoard before a crisis. Oh, that's another article that I took notes on. Yeah, if you guys have any kind of things that you're interested in hearing about, let me know. I probably either have them written down or, it shouldn't be too hard to find something. Yeah, I'm gonna end it here. You guys get some good sleep, have a good day, and I'll see you next time.